Welcome to the FA40 podcast. I am your host, Josh Proch, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about building your work capacity. A lot of times when I say the word or talk about work capacity, people ask, like, what's that? What it is the work. Work capacity is basically your ability to do work or do work that involves muscular strength and endurance and power over a period of time without getting exhausted. So it's kind of the blend of aerobic fitness and strength, basically. So, we see an example of somebody that would have a weak work capacity is somebody that gets exhausted doing any type of like yard work or anything like that involves carrying stuff or anything where they're using strength is involved, like shoveling snow, different things like that. And some of these people, they might do a lot of cardio and have very good cardiovascular endurance, but they just don't have a good work capacity. So, by having a good work capacity, it makes a big impact on your daily life and everything like that. So, looking good is one thing, but having useful muscle and strength is a whole nother thing, and it's going to just have a big carryover into day-to-day life. A lot of times we've seen this in sports. You see an athlete who, maybe they're warming up and they've got like their shirt off or something, and they just are like shredded, and they look like this dude's, jacked. He's going to be, really, really good out here in the field. But then the game gets started and they get on there and you see that they just can't play. And the same thing kind of happens with a lot of people, a lot of gym goers. They're coming into the gym or they're going out for a run. They do a few miles on the treadmill. They do some circuits on a machine, maybe do a few exercises with some light, dumbbells or something like that. But yet, when they start having to exert themselves and things like that, they get winded, and maybe they have to carry their suitcases up a few flights of stairs, and they're winded doing that, or they hurt their back when they're moving furniture or moving one of their kids into their dorms or a new apartment or something like that. Those are all while they're exercising, and that's good. They just have a very low work capacity, and that's one of the things that we try to target in our workout here. So. What the fastest route to improving this is through total body functional strength training. And this doesn't mean doing things standing on one leg or balancing on a Bosu ball or any of that crap. It basically means for opt-in, like doing things in the squat rack, barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, the TRX, sleds, anything that has you up on your feet, prioritizing those and choosing those over fixed weight machines. So instead of sitting on a machine, you're now going to be up on 2 feet, supporting your body weights, working on posture. Your core has to be engaged, along with really every other muscle group as you perform that exercises. So, some examples here would be like goblet squats. We're holding that dumbbell at our chest. So now it's a little bit in front of us. It forces our torso to stay a little bit more upright. We have to sit back through the hips. And coming down, the core's got to be engaged. Just by holding that dumbbell at the chest, it restricts our breathing a little bit, so we're not able to get a full breath. And then, especially with heavy weight on that, a set of 10 can be very grueling, but that's going to build a strong work capacity. It's more so than like just running and stuff like that. It's going to build that ability to do work. Deadlifts are another good example. You're bending over, picking stuff up. Doing farmer's carries with the hex bars that we deadlift out and carrying those, that's going to build work capacity. Doing just farmer's carries in general are a big one for that. Single arm pressing, now that's a little bit more like day-to-day stuff. You're not necessarily always pressing with 2 arms, but you might be pressing or reaching with one, and you've got to stabilize everything throughout your body. Chin-ups or TRX rows, you're now supporting your body weight, so you've got to keep the glutes tight, the core tight, the shoulder girdle tight as you pull up with the arms. And then, push-ups, planks, wood chops are a big one, especially for people that golf, but also for just that day-to-day activity with like shoveling snow, shoveling mulch or gravel or anything. We're rotating and throwing basically with that. And you hear a lot of people in the spring that they hurt their back, or in the winter shoveling they hurt their back. But that is really a result of not being prepared for that activity. So the workouts, basically, you're using exercises like that, but then we're designing them to use non-competing compound sets where we're putting 2 or 3 exercises together. Basically, supersetting would be like the old school term for that. And then maybe in between each exercise, you're getting 30 or 60 seconds of rest, but we're changing the movement, the pattern that we're working. So a lot of times we're going like upper body, lower body, core. So we keep moving that throughout the body with each of those exercises, short little breaks in there, and it starts to simulate work, basically. And when you train this way, you build strength, you build endurance, you get that work capacity up, and this all results in a body that performs well in day-to-day activities. So, not just maybe like work around the house, but if you play golf, it's going to carry over into that. If you're a tennis player or a paddle player, it carries over into that. If you ski, it carries over into that. And you find, skiing's a good example of needing a strong work capacity. It doesn't, a lot of times people don't think of it as being an aerobic activity, but if you're out of shape, you're out of breath by the time you get down to the bottom of the hill, or, even halfway down the hill. Because the legs are working a lot and changing from side to side and everything like that. So, again, training this way and building that work capacity is going to make that better. Even, like water skiing. But pretty much everything you do in your life, if the stronger your work capacity is, the better your life is going to be and the easier everything's going to be. So, again, I thank you guys for listening today. I enjoy doing these. So if you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments. If you have any topics that you'd like me to cover in an upcoming podcast, shoot that in there too, and I'll be glad to answer that. So and bring it up onto the show if I can make a whole show out of it. So I'll talk to you guys all next week then. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and rate and review us.